Hello and welcome to the Boost Over Ball podcast, your go-to place for everything Rocket League with your hosts, K-Cube, AJ Binky, and Red. So lean forward, lock in, and get ready to go Boost Over Ball.
Hello and welcome to the Boost Over Ball podcast. To listeners new and old, hello and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Kyle K-Cube, and today I'm joined by Red. How's it going?
Going pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, just another day in paradise. Get to talk about some more Rocket League.
Nothing but the best.
Oh, yeah. But on today's show, we will be talking about the NA Open Qualifier number 4 that happened this past weekend. We will be previewing the EU Open Qualifier number 4, and then we will be taking you around the world of Rocket League to talk about qualifiers that have already happened, top 16s that have been solidified for the Swiss stage, and then we will be ending off with another Reds roster rumors. So with that, you ready to dive right in?
Let's do it.
Okay. So for the Swiss stage, we're going to run through results first, and then we'll talk about, like our thoughts and, any takeaways we had from that. But with that, the teams going 3-0 in Swiss are G2 Stride and the Snowmen. Teams going 3-1, we have Shopify Rebellion, OG, Space Station Gaming. Our teams going 3-2 and just qualifying for the top 8, Gen G, Cloud9, and M80. Teams just missing the cut at 2 and 3 are TSM, NRG, and Luminosity. Teams going 1 and 3 are the new Moist Esports, Deleted XD, and Nether Lamera Canada. And our two teams getting swept out going 0 and 3 are Cheers and Cold. So first and foremost, what jumps out to you the most about our Swiss stage that we got here?
Well, I think the easiest one that jumps out is Snowman going 3-0 and not with a easy schedule per se. A 3-1 over TSM, a 3-0 over Northern Lamera Canada, and then the notable one, winning Game 5 against Gen G, the soon-to-be Open Qualifier champs there. So really crazy to see them kind of make that step forward into being a notable North American team. So that's probably the biggest one that jumps out at me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, youngest average age team in RLCS, and we won't spoil their playoff like how they did in playoffs, but making a top 8, going 3-0, being able to take down Gen G is a great result for them. They had a great showing. They shut out Gen G in Game 5, so it goes to show their ability and their talent. Frosty had a fantastic showing. I thought Scribbles played very well, and Reveal, the striker, went nuts as always. So, congratulations to Snowmen on their excellent performance. Another one that kind of threw me off, and something that all three of us predicted would be TSM and Luminosity making the cut, and that is not something that happened. So Luminosity going to round 3 and having an unfortunate draw against Gen G, and TSM getting an unfortunate round 5 draw against M80. We kind of assumed at this point that M80 Swiss was going to come out and they'd sweep through 0 and 3 and then lose in quarterfinals, but we weren't exactly right on that one, but we were close.
Yeah, just not quite. Another notable performance, although they failed to go the distance. New signee Aqua for Energy performed very well. It was nice to see some life to the Energy squad, although their only 2 wins being against Cheers and Deleted XD. Still good to see him, like, even with the rough team atmosphere probably around that organization right now, it was still good to see him perform. Let's see here. Any other notable? Moist. I think here on the desk, we were really believing in the new org buff for Moist Esports. At the end of the day, they are Team Omelet, and I think they only qualified for top 8 once. Last split.
Moist is Pirates on a Boat.
Oh no, not
Cloud9. Cloud9's Omelet. Yeah.
Which they ended up qualifying top 8. So let me change my talking points around there. Team Omelet, now known as Cloud9, making top 8, and then Pirates on the Boat, who go from, I think, making top 8 almost every time to going 1 and 3. Now, they did have probably one of the tougher schedules besides SSG, who had, I think, one of the toughest there, of Energy, Gen G, Shopify, and LG. So I mean, Swiss did not do them any favors, but was Achieves the difference maker there?
He could have been. I mean, he did very well for them, making a couple of top 8s with that roster. But, I think it's only a matter of time before they figure it out. I think that roster is too talented to be, placing 12th. But, we're kind of getting to the point now where, these teams have started to solidify a little bit more. These teams are starting to, kind of reach their potential. G2 is obviously G2. Gen G is obviously, doing Gen G things. We'll talk about them here in a second in playoffs, but, M80, we kind of seem to know what they are, but, you're seeing the emergence of like Space Station, with a win over Shopify, taking a game off of G2 in round 2, and then almost sweeping M80, sweeping NRG, like really doing what they think they can do. Chicago's really coming into his own, and they're starting to play fantastically. We'll talk about them again here in playoffs. Spoiler, almost a tremendous result for Space Station. I think that they continue to improve on, what they've done in the last split. But, we're starting to see there's more than 8 good teams in NA. And so not everybody's going to make the cut. So it's really, kind of who's peaking on what day. And the matchups. The matchups play a huge role in this.
I think we'll go ahead. One thing I wanted to bring up, I was just reading something about this. So M80, again, Swiss merchants, they pull through and make top 8, but they are now 0-4 in best of 7 series. And I think I saw some crazy stat where there was like 80 other teams that have gotten a best of 7 win.
Yeah, that's
it's
unreal.
Just, like, at what point are you M80 that you decide you need to change? Because, I mean, yeah, you're getting points for making top 8, but I mean, you're 0-4 in best of 7s, and I think you've only had one close 7 series.
I mean, I don't know if you can. You have two region transfers, so you're either transferring them back to EU and you're dropping AJ, or, and I think that's not a great idea because EU is the top end talent in EU is much better than the top end talent in NA. Right, but they're doing enough to stick around in the race for major number 2 in the race for Worlds, but they're not doing enough to separate themselves, and they're not doing themselves any favors. And so that's a good transition point. So we have like our quarterfinal matchups. We have G2 sweeping M80, we have Space Station taking down OG 4-1, we have Snowmen beating Cloud9 4-1, and we have Gen G sweeping Shopify in what I think was the most convincing series of the day, personally. Shopify could not get anything going, and like similarly, I think G2, like while the series were like the goal totals were close, I feel like G2 was in control the entire time.
You might be getting your game switched there because G2 only allowed 1 goal against M80 in the entire series.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I think I saw the heat map on that, and let me tell you, there wasn't a whole lot of red outside of their own half.
No.
I mean, it was a clinic. I know me and Kyle were talking about the series as it was happening, and I was like, this looks like G2 versus a bubble team. Like, this looks like we weren't in top 8. This looks like G2 versus Mom's Cookies in day 2.
A team of bronzes from Sunless's video.
Yeah, it did not look good for M80. So it's a tough draw getting G2, but at the same time, put up a fight, put up something, put up your hands, block something.
Yeah. And I mean, we've talked about it extensively down the stretch in Major 1. We've talked about it certainly in EU. But really the result of the Swiss, like obviously the number 1 priority in Swiss is to qualify, right? It's to win 3 matches to qualify through the top 8. But excluding that one, your top priority is to not play G2 or Gen G. That's how you get points. In my opinion, right? Yep. So M80 don't do that, Shopify don't do that, and they pay for it. They don't take a game; they're both done. So now, like G2 does G2 things, Gen G does Gen G things, and we can move on to the more exciting matchups. I think Space Station handled OG the way that you'd expect. Snowmen, huge win for them, a great draw in the playoffs for them too. It really helps that they don't have to play G2 or Gen G, but that's what happens when you go 3-0. You don't have to play the best teams. So good for them. Good job. Now, it's close for me, but I think that like it's 1A, 1B for most exciting match like of this event for me, and 1B is got to be G2 Space Station.
Oh, absolutely. G2 Space Station was electric. That was one of the best series of the qualifier for sure.
I mean, it's like a G2 goes down 2-1, they tie it up, and they go to match point, and through the timeout buff, they're able to take game 6, and then they're able to fight through an SSG timeout buff to win 1-0 in game 7. That was a hotly contested series. LJ was showing up. Chicago's striking ability was on full display, and it really is like Hoxer is being showcased why he was picked up by SSG and like how good of a third man he plays on that team. And they looked really good. They looked really dangerous too.
Absolutely. And then I think 1A, I think I know where 1A is going. We're going to talk G2 Gen G Grand Finals.
Gen G dispatched the Snowmen 4-2 to move to the Grand Finals to get yet another G2 Gen G Grand Finals.
The script's getting real old, Rocket League. Come on.
Do something different. But what are your first thoughts on that series? I mean, obviously it's a little bit rough being a G2 being a G2 fan, but I mean, you got to be impressed with the performance from both teams.
Yeah, I mean, Gen G has definitely NA needs to take notes from Gen G, because whatever Gen G has done to figure out G2, they need, other teams need to replicate it, because they have it down to a T. I mean, G2 looked like a different beast going into that grand finals, and then series starts and you're like, oh man, this isn't looking good. Now, of course, G2 does bring it back. You know, timeout buff hits a little different. However, Gen G still had their timeout, and boy, first killer looked amazing. Very few mistakes from the rest of the trio. It was hard for them to do anything wrong there. So if NA can learn from Gen G on how to beat G2, this will be a lot closer for the race to the top.
It certainly will. But I also would like to mention that, like, you know, if it feels like you're having deja vu, you are, because Open Qualifier number 2 is the only qualifier so far in North America that hasn't been a G2 Gen G final. And that one was LG who beat Gen G in the semis to make it there.
Jeez.
So G2 won the first 2. Gen G's won the last 2. It appears, in my eyes, hopefully in everybody else's, this is a 2-horse race for the number 1 seed in NA, and it's not close.
Yeah, it is. It is easily. It is two teams trying to get first, and then everyone else is just trying to claim a spot in top 4 somewhere.
Yeah. I just like I can't say enough good things about both of these teams. I think that they did tremendously, and you know, I would imagine that it's probably going to be a lot of the same thing for the rest of the split. But another thing that I would like to talk about and you know, give some like runway to is a huge congratulations to Hercules, casting her first grand finals, casting Championship Sunday. She did fantastically, but you know, even more important for I guess for the esport, in my opinion, is the G2 SSG series from Friday. With Hercules and Lemon Kiwi casting, it became the first ever RLCS match to be casted by 2 women. So that is a fantastic step in the right direction, if you ask me. I think Hercules has done a tremendous job stepping into the desk this season and, you know, making her expertise shown. And, you know, I would like to give a massive congratulations to them and, you know, quite frankly, to Blast and Psyonix and Epic for making this possible and, you know, for the growth of the esport.
Absolutely. And their casting was fantastic. I mean, what a fantastic series to highlight 2 of the best female casters that we've heard. And I'm looking forward to what else the casting scene can bring to the table, especially with Landon coming up and Worlds.
Yeah. Also, another thing that we do have to mention, and I would like to highlight, it's been it was around on Twitter quite a lot. So a massive, massive congratulations to Jorby for being picked up for Major Number 2 or Split 2. I'm still referring to them as splits because I think it's easier. But Jorby will be rejoining the talent, the desk, the cast. So I am extremely happy for him, and I'm glad that he's able to make his return. I thoroughly enjoyed Jorby's casts, and like even at Worlds when he wasn't casting, I loved the Furia hype train. I love the energy that he brings. So another massive congratulations to Jorby, and hopefully we'll get to hear his sweet sweet voice soon.
Also, hopefully, this means good news for the other casters we lost, and that will once Blast start figuring out the net profit, making sure they're making money still, they start bringing in more casters, start bringing the whole crew back. We'll here's hoping.
Yeah. And then
But definitely in the right direction.
for sure. And the last casting related thing that I want to bring up before we talk about our predictions is I again massive shout out. This is a like public service announcement. If you're not watching the Luminosity team stream during the Swiss stage, you're missing out. Like you're just missing out. Spaceman and Corelli are doing a phenomenal job. The production team over there is doing amazing. They debuted the the LG anthem, which was peak content. It's unhinged, it's hilarious, it's real, it's just so good. It encapsulates, in my opinion, quite frankly, the mind of a Rocket League player, how like bipolar it is. So like if you don't watch it, you really should. It's peak S tier viewing.
It is truly amazing to watch. I think my favorite little bit they do is when they hop in the airplane. Honestly, the funniest moments are after a loss too. After like a rough loss, I think it was the series they lost to Netherlands, America, Canada.
The Fraudmobile.
The Fraudmobile and the airplane, and oh man, their bits the bits they do in between games are just so hilarious. I mean, they are truly just creating a fantastic environment for LG. So props to them.
Yeah. So I mean, like both of us and AJ as well. We all watch that one when it's on. Obviously we've worked with some people at Luminosity and our fans, but I enjoy the broadcast. It's hilarious. I mean, Spaceman spent like 10 minutes on Friday during the Swiss bagging on Daz, which was so funny. And Corelli's like, dude, what did he do to you? Like, where's this coming from? And he's like, hey, stay out of my way. Stay out of the crosshairs. But so that's a little bit of the casting world we have to bring up to congratulate the people that deserve congratulating, and to make sure that our listeners are tuning into, in my opinion, some of the best non-main RLCS broadcast material out there. But now we have to hop into something that's a little bit less exciting for us, at least. AJ, Red, and I all going 5 for 8 in the Swiss stage, all incorrectly predicting Moist, TSM, and Luminosity. Red correctly getting M80, OG, Gen G, G2, SSG. AJ correctly predicting G2, Gen G, SSG, M80, and Cloud9. And I correctly predicted G2, Gen G, SSG, OG, and Cloud9. And unfortunately, all three of us missed on G2 as a winner. So going 5 for 9, just over 50%. I'm going to say that's passing. And our super hot streak is a little bit
It's a little cold.
It's cooling off a little bit. Yeah.
It's just a little chilly. All right, this next section we got there's another North American tournament going on. I know we've talked about there's the Rocket Baguette hosted EU tournament for the EU for France. But NA's got their own. LG hosted the Boost Blitz today. Just the 8 teams were invited. Those teams were G2, NRG, Space Station, M80, Luminosity, TSM, Gen G, and Cloud9. Now the kicker about the Boost Blitz tourney is it is unlimited boost. So what's scarier than a pro? a pro with unlimited boost.
Terrifying.
And so the quarterfinals matches were played today. G2 knocked off NRG 3-2. Now some of you are thinking that's a little close. Well, it was G2 with Sathu in place of Daniel. So props to Sathu, busting the rust off a bit, getting some games in. M80 beat Space Station 3-2. Luminosity beat TSM 3-1, and Cloud9 beat Genji 3-2. So your semis matches happening, I believe, tomorrow actually, at 6 o'clock CDT. G2 versus M80, and Luminosity versus Cloud9. Be interested to see. I haven't checked out too much about it. I've seen some pretty crazy clips so far on Twitter, so definitely gonna look at that tomorrow.
Yeah, it's good viewing, especially in our little bit of a lull here before EU Swiss starts up on Thursday again. So, but make sure you guys check out that if you haven't. It's a very unique viewing experience with it being unlimited boost. They are able to do things with the ball that they otherwise would never be able to do in RLCS. So, it's a must watch in my opinion. But with that, we can jump over to EU Open Qualifier number 4. We can now confidently tell you and confirm the top 16 teams that will be entering into the Swiss stage on Thursday, that being Karmine Corps, Team 3, BDS, Luna Galaxy with the new addition of Atomic, Chronic, Tox, and Atomic, Gentle Mates, Jobless, Oli, Rezi, Ixo, Vitality, Oxygen with the new addition of Joyo, Dignity Esports, Nordschleife, French, sorry, Grindserve Resolve with Razier's Cash and Ivan, 100% making their return to the Swiss stage. We got Fast Forward. We have George, Endpoint, and Wild. So we have to do it, even though it is EU. Best name?
Best name easily. I got to go with Jobless. It just fits it so well.
Yep, agreed. That no arguments from me. That's hilarious, and it's Oli, who was recently dropped from Moist. Rezi
Oli and Rezi, who was also dropped from Moist.
Yep, and Ixo, who was dropped from
Oxygen.
Yeah, for Joyo. Jobless and Orgless.
And obviously a winner from the top 16. I can't say I'm not going to pick Karmine Corps because I would be lying to you, Kyle, if I said I was picking Karmine Corps.
Okay, so like for EU, it's got to be like this is a dumb question, right? It's going to be Karmine Corps because they win everything because it's Karmine Corps.
Yes, because it's Karmine.
So we'll throw a winner question out for EU. Who is your team that you're most excited to watch play?
Ooh, I'm kind of interested in this Luna Galaxy squad, with the pickup talks, and how that trio works, because of how I've seen them work in other rosters. I'm curious to see how they work together. Definitely excited to see them. Obviously, excited to see Oxygen with their pickup of Joyo. Curious to see how that's going to work for them as well. Because especially when we thought that it wasn't Ixo getting dropped, it was going to be
Archie.
Archie, yeah, we thought Archie was going to get dropped. So curious to see. Those are probably my two teams I am most intrigued to watch.
Okay, Oxygen is up there for me. The other one for me is going to be Gentle Mates. They're fresh off a major win. I feel like a lot of people have kind of forgotten about that. Are they able to repeat as are they able to win a regional? Because they certainly did not last split, right? They kind of showed up out of nowhere. Not out of nowhere, right? They're a top 4 EU team. They're a good team. But, they did not perform in the regionals the way that they would have anticipated themselves performing. So are they able to find that world championship, or not world championship, a major winning form? Or are they going to kind of sink back down to that like 3-4 spot in EU behind Karmine Corps, BDS, like kind of in that chasing pack?
It will be interesting to see. I think Gentle Mates surprised everybody with taking the major win. So I am thoroughly intrigued to see how they still perform. We saw how little steeper of comparison, but we saw how Vitality fell off after the Worlds. but we shall see.
Yeah,
That's fun of Rocket League.
it is indeed. Before we jump around the world, the last thing I would like to mention are notable teams that are missing from this top 16 that we've seen before. First, top Cougars. They did not out in losers. They did not make it. Solary with the addition of Astral. We'll talk about that in Red's roster rumors, but we're not. They're not making it. And last but not least, SA. So a little bit of a different SA roster than what we've seen before, but still a notable name that is missing from this top 16. So just helping everybody keep up with some of the names that you may have heard and are wondering where they went. They did not qualify. But with that, it is now time to jump around the world. And due to our kind of staggered weekend schedule, OCE teams, we now know who has made the top 16 and will be headed to Swiss this weekend. And that is Power, OWell, Ginji, NTV, Pioneers, Kib Gang, Chiefs, Out We Go, Gaming Gamers, Heavy Hitters from Hong Kong, HSP, Tonka Trucks, Ground Zero, Gremlins, FIZ6 Gaming, Penthetus. So
good as guess as mine on that last name.
Yeah. So what is your best name from OCE?
I honestly I want to go with Tonka Trucks because I better see that squad at least one game all break out the Roadhogs.
That would be so good.
Or Roadhogs or Mercs, one of the two. Got to break out the Tonka Truck.
So we are now a Tonka Truck podcast that is Neptune, Asher, and Ryan. So you boys better at least take one, please.
Yeah, please.
But that's my vote too.
Do it for the podcast. And then winner. I mean, that's a little tougher. There's
going
been so
Power.
many different changes. Power? You go Power?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean they're the only ones that really stay consistent. I think I want to go Power as well, but I'm excited for Chiefs. I'm excited to see them come back.
Yeah, that they'll be a good roster. I'm excited for that as well. But next up on our list we have Sam. Do you wanna break us down from Sam?
For Sam, we got teams making the top 4: Furia, Crew, Secret, and Complexity. And then in the grand finals, we had Furia versus Secret, with Furia beating Secret 4-1. A fun little note for you Furia fans. Furia only dropped 2 games total in playoffs. 2 whole games.
1 in semis, 1 in grand finals in their run to yet another major or regional victory.
So I think it's safe to say they are still very much in form after the major.
They are indeed. Next up, jumping away a little bit, we got MENA, and we have MENA teams making the top 4. We have Falcons, R8 Esports, who beat out Rule 1 in quarterfinals to make the semis, Twisted Minds, and Team ROC, with Falcons taking down Twisted Minds 4-3 in the grand finals. So Falcons take another regional, but this one was significantly closer.
Absolutely. I think a bit of a wake up call for Falcons, because Twisted Minds, they came out looking fantastic. I mean, some of the best Rocket League I've seen that team play in a while. They did just recently, I think, make a team change, if I'm not mistaken. They picked up Ahmad. Or Ahmad.
Yeah.
Ahmad, and he slotted right in with Mosin and SMW. So good to see that they're doing well, and I think we might have a new top 2.
I would think so, and I would think so indeed.
Especially after this past major, my confidence in Rule 1 is slowly but surely falling.
Okay. In APAC, we have teams making the top 16: Elevate, Nimit 55, Detonator, LaFishy, Game & Gladiators, Grace's Blaze, Sailing Esports, Dreams to Legends, Overlooked, My Balls Are Hairy, Yokohama F. Marinos Esports, Albino Monkeys, Permita All-Stars, Guyatan Gaming, 0545 Ravel, and Team Fast. You got a favorite name in there?
That's tough. These are some crazy names and amazing names. I like it. It looks like someone just put in their address for one of these names, so that's a little interesting. I think if I had to pick a favorite though, I I mm,
I feel like it's hard to go. It's hard to not go. My balls are hairy.
I was thinking my balls are hairy because that's just it's funny. I'm also a fan of Le Fishy, especially in APAC.
I think that's a sneaky good one. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, definitely some great names. I love APAC bringing out the creative names.
Agreed. And winner for you?
I mean, we just got to go Elevate, right?
I would agree. I would
I
agree.
feel like that's just a no brainer there.
Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe not, because
Oh,
if you remember who Gaming Gladiators added, it is Though.
oh, that's right. Tho went over there.
So their team is now Maxu, Virtuoso, and Though. And Elevate is Kevin, Sphinx, and ZPS.
I'm still gonna stick. Oh, that's tough. I'm going to stick Elevate until Tho proves me wrong.
Okay, that's fair. I can't fault you on that one. And then our last region, and we'll run through this a little bit fast because we have kind of a talking point on this. Sub-Saharan Africa, teams making the top 4, Astronic Skill Quest, Unknown Goats, Team Mobula, and Drift Queens, who take down Limitless in Game 7 to advance to the semifinals. The grand finals of Team Mobula 4, Astronic Skill Quest 2 to win their first regional. And so the big talking point on this one is there are no SSA teams in the top 4. No SSA representation. Does this need to be addressed? Does it need to be fixed for next season? What does this mean for the world spot for SSA?
I feel like this is a good thing for SSA. I have a feeling that this is going to force the region as a whole to improve. Now that we're letting these outside factors join the region. No top 4, no SSA representation in the top 4. I mean, I feel like if I was a person in the region, I would be upset because it's my region. So I'm going to get a little fire under my ass and try to improve, try to get better, try to catch up with everybody. SSA is one of the, I'd say, probably last in terms of skill currently, and that's just how it works out because they were a little late to the scene. But I feel like this should hopefully lead to some improvement from the region.
Yeah, I would agree. It's unfortunate that a world championship spot was taken away from EU or NA and given to EU bubble, if this is the case. But also, it could have just been a bad day for Limitless. They took them to Game 7. It was a close series, so it is possible that they bounce back in a big way and they retake their region. But I can only hope for that because I like to see that for them. But I think you're right. I think eventually in the long run, this does pay off for them. But do you have anything else that you want to add on that before we jump into everyone's favorite section?
No, I think we're ready for that section.
Okay, let's hit it.
All right, Reds roster rumors. We're back. Not as big of a section this time.
What did you think of that new jingle?
Ooh, I did like the jingle. Did we find a good cut for it? Because
we did. We did find a good cut for it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, do we have it ready? Do we have it ready?
It will go in the episode, but
Ooh, okay. Well, viewers, let us know, or listeners, let us know what you think about the new jingle. But here, I'll do a nice little intro here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Reds roster rumors. Pause for a dramatic effect. All right, so just a couple things today. We got Astral going to EU, joining Solary. He is returning back to Solary, hopefully trying to bring Solary back into the light of top 8, at the very least top 16. So here's hoping for them. Top Cougars, we talked about this kind of earlier. They lose Toxic to Endpoint, and they replace Toxic with Seamas. I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
Seamus, I think
Simas, yeah, one of those two.
yeah.
Which, as we saw, Top Cougars struggled to. They did not make it to top 16, so unfortunate for them. Hopefully, they can run it back. Next, we have Rezex joining Saw to replace Tho, who, as we said earlier, left for APAC. Unfortunately, Saw did not make top 16 either, so bit of a rough spot there. A bit of a fun one here. Back to North America. Squishy Muffins. They got the 5,000 likes. He will replace Rizzo on Turbo's Cheeks V2. Fun little fact: there are 5 world championships spread across that roster. So, don't ask where the majority come from. And then finally, a special one here. Faze Clan. They've been undergoing a lot of restructuring, as you probably have all seen on Twitter. But they did release that they will be returning to Rocket League. It is one of their competitive teams they will be including. We aren't sure when or who. We have some ideas. There's been some rumors of Snowman, who just placed top 4, would be a great pickup for them. So only time will tell if and when FaZe Clan will return. And that just about does it for Red's roster rumors. Kyle, what you think?
I am very intrigued to see if and when FaZe Clan come back and what team they pick up. I'm excited to see Squishy back in competition and NA for open qualifiers. So, it was widely covered Squishy's last ride, but can you imagine if they actually qualified? That would be kind of interesting to see what happens there. It certainly would, but there will be some more roster rumors, news as the weeks go on, but especially in between kind of these qualifiers, and especially after the last. So in this case, it'd be open qualifier number 6 for the teams that did not make the major and did not make Worlds. They will look to make roster changes like then. So it may be intermittent here for the next couple of weeks, but they will come back hot and heavy like they always do. But with that, was there anything else that you wanted to add about any of the things that we covered, about anything Rocket League related?
I think I've said my piece. I'm done yapping today.
Fair enough. Well, with that, we would like to thank you so much for listening. We'd like to please remind you to follow us on Twitter or Instagram, join our Discord, and rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts, as it really helps us out. Please make sure to also follow us on Twitch, on TikTok, and our merch store. We had new shirts. I think there's like 17 different t-shirt options now in the store that we added for summer. So please make sure you're getting those and rocking them. Make sure you tag us in pictures or send us anything with you rocking the merch. We'd love to repost it, and we'd love to see that. But all of these links and more can be found on our website at boostoverball.com. And as always, from us here on the show, remember to choose Boost over Ball.
Thanks for listening to the Boost Over Ball podcast. Make sure to check out our website at boostoverball.com.